You can spend years building a life that looks right to everyone around you and still feel like it's not fully yours. You were told that this is what fulfillment looks like. So when you achieve something and something inside of you stays quiet, you start to wonder if something is wrong with you. But what if the problem isn't you? What if modern life is quietly reshaping human desire? What's being stolen is not your ambition. It's your ability to recognize what you actually want. You don't want what you think you want what you were trained to want. You can be moving fast and still feel directionless. You execute, you perform, you deliver. From the outside, your life makes perfect sense. It's responsible, focused, on track. But inside, a subtle question keeps returning. What do I want? And it's not a philosophical question, it's a visceral question. Because wanting is no longer simple. You move forward externally while something inside of you stays still. This is where people quietly lose themselves because a life can keep progressing while you slowly lose contact with yourself. Most people don't lack ambition, they lack the emotional contact with what they're pursuing. You achieve something you thought would change everything, a degree, a promotion, an engagement, and within days, maybe even hours, your attention is already searching for the next target. You tell yourself this is about being motivated, but inside you feel restless, as if you're climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. I know this intimately. I loved getting my Ivy League PhD, but I never wanted to be part of the academic establishment, full of politics, toxic behavior, and ideological constrictions. But still, for many years, I tried to fit in. I worked relentlessly. I performed competency better than anyone else inside a system that wasn't mine. I kept going until life forced me to stop. And what I learned is that achievement, even hunger for achievement, is often masked misalignment. If you go down this path long enough, you begin to realize something unsettling, that many of your wants are actually reactions. Modern desire is often imitation mistaken for intuition or originality. We react to what is acceptable, what is praised, what is rewarded, to what makes our parents or teachers proud. We want what gives us certainty. Desire becomes a strategy instead of a sensation, instead of a pull forward. You analyze what makes sense, what is strategic, what will position you correctly. But the deeper signal, the quiet sense of genuine movement towards something you want, becomes harder and harder to recognize. Not because you don't have motivation or you have too much motivation, but because modern society is engineering desire for you. You're trained to keep moving forward, to keep achieving, to keep pursuing, but underneath, there is a growing suspicion that even though you're incredibly active, you don't ever feel truly directed. There's no focus in your movement. Your life is full of motion, but incredibly devoid of meaning. You begin to suspect your life is organized around goals that are not truly yours. Your life can look totally impressive, even desirable, and you can feel like a guest inside of it. This confusion around desire is not random. It is structurally produced. Modern life does not simply influence desire, it programs it. Desire today is often imposed from the outside. We see what is praised, what would grant us belonging. Our attention locks onto what is rewarded, what gets us visibility, and our desire follows. Not because we're weak or lazy, but because a human desire has always been relational. Rene Girard called this mimetic desire. We learn what to want by watching what others seem to want. In the past, you compared yourself to a village. Today, you compare yourself to the entire world. Every day, you're shown thousands of possible lives, each one quietly suggesting, why not you? Desire has become incredibly noisy, reactive, secondhand. And the result of that is that often today we don't choose our goals, even if we think we do. Our environment chooses them for us. What feels like personal aspiration can be actually cultural, mimetic desire disguised as ambition. You can build an entire future around goals you never consciously chose. Much of modern desire is compensation. Society sells us empty pleasure, while at the same time, we've forgotten how to feel truly alive. Achievement has replaced aliveness. Recognition has replaced contact. Productivity has replaced meaning. Many modern ambitions are survival strategies in disguise. Goals become a way to feel real. You can spend years optimizing your life without ever inhabiting it. The system rewards speed, output, visibility, consistency. It rewards people who keep going even when something inside of them feels very, very quiet. The more options you have, the harder it becomes to hear what is truly yours. Most people never truly find out. You can be extremely driven and still feel totally lost. You can build momentum without building direction. What feels urgent is not always what is truly essential. Some dreams are not aspirations, they're anesthetics. They numb the deeper question, what would you want if nothing around you was telling you what to want? And for many people, that question feels more destabilizing than continuing to pursue goals that never fully touch them. The real danger is not choosing the wrong career or the wrong degree. It's losing the ability to feel when something is truly right. This confusion around desire doesn't always create crisis. More often, and way more alarmingly, it creates a life that keeps working. You keep functioning, you keep adapting, you keep advancing. Years, decades, lifetimes pass. You become more competent, more efficient, more reliable. Moments when you feel truly involved in your own life becomes rare. Life starts running on autopilot. You choose what makes sense, what is logical, what is expected. You stop asking what genuinely moves you, and not because you don't care, but because the signal has become very faint. You wake up inside routines that are not fully yours. You maintain relationships that are stable but no longer feel alive. You achieve milestones that look meaningful but feel eerily flat. You move forward following what you're told you should want, but you don't feel carried by real desire. And over time, this quiet distance, this silent detachment begins to feel normal. You tell yourself, this is just adulthood. This is responsibility. This is what maturity looks like. You repeat these things while secretly remembering the freedom of being a child when you could be everything you wanted. While now, something essential is being traded. Not success, not stability, but aliveness. You can build an impressive future and never once feel fully inside it. Not because you failed, but because you slowly organized your life around what was rewarded instead of what was real, what was practical instead of what was alive. And the most disturbing part is this: there's often no dramatic moment that tells you something has gone wrong, only a slow realization that you have become very skilled at living a life that does not feel like yours. What is being lost in all of this is not ambition, it's aliveness, vitality, life force. The capacity to feel genuine desire before it becomes performance, before it becomes strategy, before it becomes identity. Real desire has a different rhythm. It is often slower, quieter, less dramatic. It doesn't arrive with certainty or with a predetermined plan. It doesn't always make sense. Often, it even feels very inconvenient because it interrupts the life you have carefully organized. It asks you to pause in a world that rewards acceleration, to listen when the world is telling you to react, to stay with an experience instead of immediately converting it into a plan. The more you chase intensity, the harder it becomes to recognize what genuinely moves you. Real desire does not shout, it waits. It appears in small moments of contact. A conversation that unexpectedly changes your mood, a piece of music that stays with you for days, a thought that returns quietly until you finally take it seriously. Simone Weil wrote that attention is the rarest form of generosity, and to be alive in this deeper sense requires a similar kind of attention, not towards productivity, not towards optimization, but toward life itself. When that kind of contact begins to return, something inside reorganizes, and finally your decisions become less reactive. Your ambition becomes more honest. Your life begins to take shape around what feels alive and true, and not around what looks correct. This is not a dramatic transformation. It is often subtle, private, difficult to measure. It changes the texture of your life. Time stops feeling like something you optimize and it begins to feel like something you inhabit. Desire stops feeling like pressure and begins to feel like direction. And slowly you realize that what you were looking for was never a better plan. It was a deeper participation in your own life. We were never meant to manufacture desire. We were meant to feel it emerge. Even if it disappoints your parents or teachers or the algorithm, you're meant to notice what genuinely moves you before it becomes pressure, before it becomes performance, before it becomes another goal you hope will make you feel real. And if modern civilization has confused that signal, if it has trained you to react instead of to listen, the work is not to want more or to achieve more. The work is to listen more carefully. It is to recognize what's already alive inside of you. Because a life organized only around goals can function perfectly and still feel strangely unreal, as if you're watching yourself live it. But a life organized around real desire has a different texture, more uncertainty, more contact, more risk, true, but also more meaning. If this tension feels familiar to you, subscribe. This channel is a growing body of work on what modern life is doing to our inner world. and how we remain fully alive inside of it. If you want to go deeper, you'll find longer reflections in the newsletter below. You were never meant to live disconnected from your own pulse. And once you begin to see that clearly, it becomes very difficult to go back to living on the surface.